In astrology, the big three refer to your sun sign, your moon sign, and your rising sign. Together, these three signs tell you a lot about your personality and so much more. In this video, I'll be breaking down exactly what the big three mean, but most importantly, what they say about you. So stick around, you definitely don't want to miss this. What's up, everybody? As always, I hope that this video finds you well and in excellent spirits. If you are new here, my name is Mel, your new favorite astrologer, and I am the founder of divinefeminineworks, where I help people unlock their divinity and discover their magic. And as always, if you are returning, welcome back. So like I mentioned before, today, this video is all about the big three. More importantly, your personality as represented by the big three in your natal chart. Now, your natal chart has a bunch of information. It talks about your life, your past, your future, your relationships, your career, so forth and so on. However, your big three, and again, your big three are your sun, your moon, and your rising signs. It's not only the best place to start learning astrology, but more importantly, it's the best place to start learning about yourself. All right, so without further ado, let's get into it. All right, first things first, you're gonna need to break out your natal chart. Now, if you are a complete newbie to astrology, I definitely suggest that you check out this video right here on astrology basics that basically gives you everything you need to know to start learning and understanding astrology. And I'll leave the link to that video in the description box below. But if you already have your natal chart, definitely break it out, take a look at it, and see where your sun, your moon, and your rising sign are located. And in your natal chart, your rising sign is going to be symbolized by the letters AS or ASC. All right, now I may be getting ahead of myself. Maybe you don't have your natal chart and you need to get a copy. So if you need to get a copy of your natal chart, go to a site like astro.com or astro-seek.com, put in your birth date, time, and location, and either of those sites will generate a natal chart for you and you'll be good to go. So like I mentioned before, the big three is all about your personality. But what's really important to know is that the big three describes your personality on the inside and out. And not just that, it also describes how the world sees you. Now, this is essential if you are on a path to self-discovery, if you're on your spiritual journey. The big three is sort of your introduction into astrology and yourself. So first, let's talk about your sun sign. So your sun sign is the zodiacal sign that you were born under, and it all depends on your birth date. So if you were born on July 1st, you would be a Cancer sun sign. Just like if you were born on November 10th, you would be a Scorpio sun sign. Now, the sun sign is the sign that everyone is familiar with and that most people identify with, but it really only tells a fraction of the story when it comes to the story of you. Your sun sign represents your ego and the characteristics that make up your personality. Your sun sign is the central core of your being. It represents not just your personality, but it also represents your purpose, your reason for being here on earth, your path in life, and your potential. Our sun sign represents that part of ourselves that we show to the world. It's how we shine. Each zodiac sign has particular characteristics, and those characteristics help to shape your outward personality. The key word here is outward. So when people say that all Virgos are perfectionists, or that all Pisces are sensitive, they're referring to the characteristics of that sign. And if you were born under that sign, those characteristics form a part of your personality. So long story short, when it comes to your sun sign, think of it as the mold that you were fit into when you were born. It's all about your outward personality, your ego, and how you shine, how you express yourself in this world. So next up, we have your moon sign. And your moon sign is also determined by the date that you were born. So basically, whatever sign the moon was in at the moment that you were born, that becomes your moon sign. So whereas your sun sign is all about the characteristics of your outward personality, your moon sign is all about the characteristics of your inward personality. Basically, your moon sign represents your emotional side and the side that you keep hidden from the world. Now, the moon sign can be a little bit complex because anytime we're talking about emotions, things get a little complex, right? Suffice it to say, your moon sign represents your emotions, your subconscious, your private world. It can also represent your early childhood environment and how you reacted to that environment. Now, the moon sign is very representative of feminine energy. So how you were nurtured and how you nurture others and other things are covered by your moon sign. So let's take, for example, a Taurus moon. Let's say you look at your natal chart and you realize that the moon is in the sign of Taurus. So whatever your sun sign is, that is the side of your personality that you show to the world. However, when it comes to your Taurus moon, emotionally speaking, you probably tend to be very practical. You may be slow to anger, but when you get angry, you get really angry. But not just that, you may be pretty stubborn. So if someone has hurt you or wronged you in the past, you're likely to be someone who doesn't get over it easily or may even hold a grudge. All right. So that's an example of a particular moon sign at work. So basically, look at the sign that your moon is in, and this will give you an inkling or a clue as to how you deal with things emotionally and what your inner world is like. So next up is your rising sign. And your rising sign is the sign that was rising on the eastern horizon at the moment that you were born. I know it sounds kind of complex, right? But that is the definition of your rising sign. It's also known as your ascendant. Those two terms can be used interchangeably, rising or ascendant, and it's represented by the letters AS or ASC in your natal chart. Now, remember I said about your moon and your sun signs, they're all related to, or they're both related to the day that you were born. Now, pretty much everyone knows their birth date, right? But here's the thing, your rising sign all depends on your time of birth. So while you may have been born on September 12th, the time of your birth is going to determine your rising sign because the rising sign changes signs every 2 hours. That's why it's so important to know your exact birth time, because you may think, oh, especially if you don't know your exact rising time, and let's say you asked your mother or anyone else who was present at your birth, they'll say, oh, you were born sometime in the morning. Well, there's a big difference between being born at like 6 a.m. and 8 a.m. The difference between those two times can mean the difference between two rising signs. So it's really important to know your exact rising time, your exact birth time, if you can, in order to know your exact rising sign. So in terms of what your rising sign means and symbolizes, it's how the world sees you. So we all present to the world in a certain way. Our rising sign is like the mask we wear to the world. I want you to think about your rising sign as like a literal sign or a billboard that tells the world who you are. So the thing about your rising sign is not so much your innate personality, it's how that personality is perceived by everybody else. Again, it's the mask you wear and the billboard you hold up that says this is who you are. But most importantly, the thing to remember about your rising sign is that it defines how you look at the world. It defines your outlook on life. However you see things is always going to be filtered by your rising sign. So let's take a random example. Let's say you're a Capricorn sun, Cancer moon, and Leo rising. So that the Capricorn sun. Your outward personality is someone who's practical, who's status oriented, and someone who's probably focused on success and achievements. All right, that's your outer personality. But your inner world, that's going to be reflected by your Cancer moon. On the inside, you are intuitive, you are sensitive, and you're very emotional. Now, when it comes to your Leo rising, this is how the world sees you and how you see the world. So the world may see you as someone who may be a leader, someone who's popular, someone who is the star of the show. Now, when it comes to how you see the world through the lens of Leo, which means that you look at things through your heart. Everything has to feel good. You tend to be passionate about the world, and you look at the world through playful and childlike eyes, because those are the characteristics of Leo, okay? Hopefully that makes sense. But that shows you how all three signs, your sun, your moon, and your rising, they make up your personality. They're just different facets of your personality. So let's put it all together. Your sun, your moon, and your rising. I think I pretty much explained it with that last example, but it's really important for you to really get it, right? So when it comes to your outward personality, right? How you shine, how you express yourself as an individual, that's all about your sun sign. And at different times in your life, your sun sign may dominate, especially when you're trying to express yourself, or maybe certain people or situations bring out your sun sign more than anything else. However, at different times, your moon sign may dominate, particularly when you're in a situation that causes an emotional response, or you are triggered by something or someone. Then you have your rising sign, which is all about how the world sees you. So regardless of how you're expressing yourself or how you feel on the inside, the world may see you in a particular light. And most importantly, you may look at the world through a particular lens, and that lens is your rising sign. So you know how sometimes when you'll be reading your horoscope or watching a video on YouTube and you're like, wait, this is my sun sign. It makes no sense to me. It really doesn't resonate. I have no idea what this person is talking about. That's because the information may be resonating with either your moon or your rising sign. So I always tell people, whenever you're reading your horoscope, watching astrology videos on YouTube, you're definitely going to first read for your rising sign, because here's the truth. Horoscopes are done based on rising signs, not sun signs. They may relate to your sun sign, but by and large, they are designed to resonate with your rising sign. And then sometimes they may even resonate with your moon sign, depending on where the moon is in its cycle or depending on what you're going through. So anytime you're researching astrology, anytime you are trying to figure out a forecast or anything like that, definitely check all three of your big three in order to get the big picture of what's going on right now. But most importantly, the thing that I will say is the utmost importance with respect to your big three, your sun, moon, and your rising, is that it represents the totality of you. Like I said, we're not just our sun signs. We're not just our outward personality. There's so much more to us. And the starting point to understanding all the different facets of us are our big three, namely our sun, our moon, and our rising sign. All right, my loves, that concludes today's video on your big three in astrology. Tune in next Friday because I will be dropping a brand new video on learning astrology. And this time I'm going to be starting a 5-part series on how to read your natal chart. All right. So hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you'll always be notified when I come out with new content. All right, my friends, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you in my next video. Take care.